Hello everyone, I am Dr. Deepak Rawat, and in this lecture I will be talking about designing microbial communities for the treatment of textile wastewater. So in bioremediation we usually work on single organism, either it is bacteria, either it is microalgae, or it is any yeast. So we just use a single organism and then we see whether that organism can clean some of the chemicals that we put in the water. But the main issue while using such kind of strategies is organisms, they are already under a lot of stress. Not only they have to acquire nutrients from their immediate environment, but they also have to clean the pollutant which is trying to kill them. So here I'm trying to show why it is important to use a multi-species system for the treatment of any kind of wastewater. So on the left hand side you can see there is an algae. So step A will be growing algae in the wastewater. So algae is a photosynthetic organism, so it requires limited nutrients from the environment, but the most important is carbon dioxide and the light. So in the presence of light and CO2, the algae will grow. The second major limitations that algae have to face is that they have comparatively a poor iron uptake mechanism. So if the water has limited iron availability, so algae will find it difficult to grow. So this will become the first stress for the algae. And the second stress will be the chemical that we have in the wastewater. So when we talk about textile wastewater, we have synthetic dyes, and most common among those dyes are the azo dyes. So algae, when they try to clean or treat or degrade that azo dye, they are again facing a lot of stress because first of all they have to get a nutrient like iron from the environment, and if iron is low, so the growth of algae will be low, and if the growth of algae will be low, so they will not be able to degrade our pollutant. So this becomes a challenge when we work in any sort of wastewater treatment facility, because microorganisms, they have to do this uh, these two tasks of surviving and also cleaning. But in my research, I designed a community which has microalgae and bacteria growing together, and somehow they are also facilitating each other's growth. So bacteria in this design, as you can see on the right hand side, is helping algae in some way, and algae is also helping bacteria in some way. Unlike algae, bacteria have good iron uptake mechanism. So they secrete some chemicals called siderophores, and those chemicals are then used to capture iron. So bacteria will capture iron from the surrounding, but not only they will use that iron for themselves, but they also will provide that iron to algae so that algae can also grow better. But now what will bacteria require in return? Because this cannot be only a one-way relationship. So algae, we know it is a photosynthetic organism, so they secretes different dissolved organic matter. So bacteria will take that dissolved organic matter from algae, so the bacteria will also grow. So it becomes a kind of mutualistic association. So this has solved the first major problem, that was the limited availability of iron. So algae in presence of bacteria will now get better iron. Now when both of these organisms, they will grow and flourish in that environment, now they can easily take care of the pollutant in question. So in my research I have demonstrated how these algae and bacteria together, they can also degrade dyes in much better manner, because somehow the enzymatic pathways that were responsible for the degradation of, or so, sorry, enzymatic pathways that were responsible for the better iron uptake were somehow also responsible for the degradation of the azo dyes. So in short, the community, the phototrophic community was much better in comparison to the algal setup. So this is what I recommended in my research, that bioremediation design should be created in a manner that they not only overcome the challenges of the pollutant, but they also should overcome the challenges of the limited nutrient availability, which somehow putting a lot of stress on the organisms to grow and survive. Thank you so much for your attention.